Welcome, friends and family, to another episode of the Backdoor Cut Show, a Memphis Grizzlies centric basketball podcast. You can find us on the Barn Burner Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your shows, in addition to that great platform. You can also check out the-barnburner.com for some more written content. Some other podcasts we have a great college basketball podcast, if that's the kind of stuff you're into. Theater and College Hoops is the name of that show. You can follow them on Twitter at CBB Theater. You can find us at Backdoor Cut Show on Twitter. And thanks to everyone who's following along right now on Periscope, on the underscore barn burner on Periscope. We appreciate that. I'm Zach. We got a full house today. You can find me on Twitter at barnburnerbro. I also got Mason, Sam, and Rich with me today. We'll go clockwise with the introductions. How are you doing, Mason?
This is like some Brady Bunch type shit.
Yeah, I'm about to do the Brady Bunch thing.
But, all right, man, that's freaking me out. Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Just unfortunately watched the Memphis Tigers lose a hard-fought game to the Cincinnati Bearcats in OT. A couple tough calls went against the Tigers, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't score, didn't get the ball to their best player, and didn't make free throws. So you hate to see that for Penny and Co., but there's still some games left, so we'll see if they can get it turned around. But from a Grizz standpoint, it's all gravy, baby. Going into the break, 28-26 with a big win over Portland last night. The only way this could be any better is if John Morant was named an All-Star today, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. Sam, how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm coming to you live from my girlfriend's apartment on this nice couch with this nice beige wall behind me. All I'm missing is the Live, Laugh, Love poster and a glass of Pinot, and I'd be rocking and rolling. But here's the thing. The Grizzlies are the most exciting thing in Memphis right now, and I would have bet you $1 million that the reverse would be true, and the Memphis Tigers would have, in fact, been more exciting before the season started. And but hey, at least one of them is performing, exceeding expectations, and it also teaches us a lesson about expectations. But I think that we expected the Grizzlies to be so bad that 2 games over 500 feels like we're finals bound. And these two 20-year-olds, playing well is also exciting for the future because we, as NBA fans and super big fans of the kind of the structure of it, know what it means for the future when you have guys like this already playing well. But the Tigers, on the other hand, credit to Penny for hyping everyone up, but championship dreams and aspirations. But the Wiseman loss and then some of the injuries, and it's been a tough season. And it's one of those things now where every loss seems to just compound us further, rolling down that damn hill. But I'm here to talk Grizzlies. I'm excited. Was at the game last night. We'll get into it, but we got a really exciting basketball team in the city. And fuck Hassan Whiteside. I literally could not care less about that guy. But he made the city care about him last night, and I look forward to future matchups between Jonas Valanciunas and Hassan Whiteside. I hope Whiteside never goes to Lithuania, I'll tell you that. Rich, what's going on, dude?
Yo, man, I'm good. I'm good like everybody. Tough loss from the Tigers earlier, but the Grindhouse was rocking last night, man. The Forum felt like some of those old playoff series from years past. So definitely exciting to see the Grizz really stepping up and showing out, man. And Brandon Clark just – Jesus Christ, man. What a steal. But I'm good. I'm off from work Monday. I'm heading to a 3-day weekend. It's Valentine's Day. Spend the time with the lady that you love or whoever you love. We're inclusive. And on the last pod, man, Mason mentioned my admiration for Andre Iguodala who traded. So I've been waiting for this moment, for this fucking book. This fucking book, man. This fucking book. Fuck that shit. I was going through my old tweets from back in June. I'm just fucking, oh my God, he's gonna be so amazing for the young guys. Fuck him. Ready to talk about the Grizz, bro.
Man, it'd been better if you'd have burned that shit right there. You just lit it on fire like one of those like jersey burnings.
Yeah, man, fuck that book.
I think that's the best intro we've ever had on this show.
Yeah. What do you guys, Valentine's Day? So my girlfriend and I had our year anniversary last weekend, and so we did a big night of dinner and stuff and like a romantic evening. But now it's Valentine's Day, like shortly thereafter. So do I also have to put on for Valentine's Day, or does that year celebration kind of like pull the statute of limitations down the road? Like what do I have to do here?
I think it starts, man. It all depends on your girl. and y'all's communication. And like I was just talking to my wife, and she was like, "Yeah, let's not do anything big for Valentine's Day this year. Like we don't even have to get gifts. We'll just go to dinner at our little Mexican restaurant that we love to go to. Then we'll come home and watch TV like we do every night." So I think it's you got to communicate and you got to know what she's wanting. And this isn't some coded message either. Like, "Oh, let's not do anything. Then I don't get anything." And she's like, "What the hell?" So that's important. Communication is key. But my go-to for Valentine's Day is usually I write a poem, a personalized poem, create it, then get like a couple bottles of wine, some chocolate. I don't do flowers, man. Flowers die. Our love does not.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh.
Wow.
Or you could use that as like
are
a
a poet.
juxtaposition. Yeah.
Man, I'm with Mason, man. I normally come with the words. I write a nice poem, man. I've been writing, little love lyrics to it for years. Can't go wrong with some wine. But yeah, man, I don't put any extra pressure or add on to it. Like we know who we are. We know what we enjoy doing. That's spending time with one another. And that's just kicking and not changing up the schedule. Like Mason mentioned, going to the restaurant they already like going to. Like, fuck, let's go do what we fucking like to do and go kick it. Spend time together.
Yeah. Wise words. Speaking of communication, this Grizzlies team in the locker room is, how about that segue, is fantastic. They love to talk to each other. They're friends. We see it all the time. The best part about social media and the NBA these days is that you see these tweets of these videos taking place that we otherwise would have never seen in our entire lives or never would have been captured, of like the guys going into the hallway of the locker room and jaw jumping on Jaren's shoulders like they're in freaking high school, like jumping up, like running up behind your friend, like jumping up on him and just fucking with him. Like he did that. And so we were starting to see like little elements like that. And it's not performative. It's not like they're in the spotlight. It's a clear interview. It's like behind the scenes type stuff where you can tell it's authentic. So I think that's a good place to start with why these guys are where they are. Is that I don't know if there's a happier locker room or more camaraderie or just a group of guys that are willing to play unselfish basketball, which we hear Taylor Jenkins say all the time, than these guys. And it sounds like canned spam coach shit, but they're practicing what they preach.
Yeah, it really seems like I agree, the happiest locker room in the league, and that's a testament to Taylor Jenkins and the coaching staff. But then also I think we got to give a lot of credit to Jay and Solo, who are no longer with us, just kind of setting that tone as veterans. Also Valanciunas. He seems like he's been a great locker room guy. He's kind of like the lunch pail guy, and he's like, we're going to go to work every day. We're not going to be too flashy with anything. We're going to get our numbers in the game. We're not going to get our recognition like we deserve, but we're going to win ball games. And that's kind of what this team has done. We've done it in a variety of ways. We had that stretch where we were the best offense since the 73 win Warriors. And then over the past 15 games, we've been the next to the worst offense in the league. We've been the second best defense in the league. So you can't win like that in multiple ways without trusting multiple players. And that all stems from the camaraderie that they have. So shout out to the organization, man. Just the culture of the organization from this point last year to now, it honestly couldn't seem any different, not only to those inside the locker room, but just as it projects to the fan base in general.
Would you say that we are working towards long-term sustainable success?
Hey, that's what they say.
So that's the buzz going around, and I think that all the moves they made at the trade deadline, it was all working towards that, and we seem to be on that right track. Everyone's age, we got the right blend of players on the team. The roster's now rounded out where we're not too overloaded at any specific position. Things look pretty exciting. Like you guys mentioned, the game last night was hype. Like it was a throwback night. It felt like a playoff atmosphere. Everyone was saying, there's a lot of pre-build for the game on Twitter. A lot of folks saying this is the biggest game since, naming games years ago, which I will point out is also what we said about the game earlier in the season with the Spurs, where the Memphis slid into that 8th slot. So I kind of feel like those two are pretty comparable in terms of importance. This one being maintaining that position that we've established. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff that we saw last night. A lot of adjustments by different players. I thought the coaching staff, as Sam's been pointing out that we score very often out of timeouts. Like
Timeout Taylor.
Yeah, Jenkins is getting us a lot of good looks coming out of timeouts. I thought that he schemed really well for Portland. You know, Dame's just been totally on fire, and most of the game he was getting a lot of backdoor cuts, but shout out to us.
There we go, baby.
But he wasn't getting open shots from the 3-point line. So that's where he's going to get hot and destroy you. If he gets that, you know, he's getting that backdoor cut, and then we can still have someone like Jaren meet him there at the rim and contest that shot. And that's where 2 as opposed to 2 possessions of 3s, and, you know, that changes the trajectory of the game really quickly. So I thought that was very intentional. He made it so that other guys had to beat us, and Anthony Simons sure was trying to. He was 6 of 7 from 3 last night. He was on fire. But, I mean, as much as you can contain Lillard and McCollum, I think that we did.
With Simons, you got to assume that they're going to move off McCollum and just slide Simons right in there. It seems like that and open up their ability. They get off of Sam Whiteside's contract next year and then open up the ability to bring in someone and, you know, essentially like have kind of what we got going on, which is their number 2 guy kind of be on that low contract and then bring in someone else. Because the Blazers are in a situation now where they just got to keep trying to win and around Dame, so they can't blow it up yet. So they're going to keep doing creative things, kind of like the Rockets are too, and the 76ers to different extents. But the Blazers are an interesting deal. They've been rattled with injury. They for sure aren't the full team that we thought they were going to be, and they've only won games purely because of the strength of those 2 guys. So either way, you know, their misfortune is our luck. And, you know, we just continue to go forward and play good winning Grizzlies basketball. Rich, what have you noticed recently about how the team's been going and stuff you liked from just everything related to the team?
Yeah, no, I think everything like y'all spoke on just related to the camaraderie. I think that's the main thing like that's really been really sticking out to me. Like you can go from the social media interactions between everybody, the welcoming in of the young guys. And I was reading an article a few days ago giving credit to Taylor Jenkins of some – you know, practices that he's enacted where he just says, fuck it. And like they play a game of dodgeball, or they play a game of kickball just to keep those competitive juices flowing. But knowing you have this young team of seemingly kids, you know, they also want to have a good time too, and their friends. So I think that just shows the culture, like we spoke to, that's being built upon down from Kleiman, Taylor Jenkins, etc. To where this team, you can just tell they generally like being around one another. And when you like being around somebody, you'll go to war for them. You see it on the court and the way in which they're really in sync for a young team. They play very well. Shout out Timeout Taylor. Shout out the coaching staff. And last night, like I alluded to earlier, it was a different feel in the forum for me. The vibe was just they were here. And I've never seen the Grizzlies on a loop on ESPN, on NBA, and Bleacher Report and House of Highlights, but they're a brand now. Ja is trending nationally all the time. His highlight plays are being circulated all through social media, and we've just never really had a star in the making like this in a long time. So yeah, should have been an all-star, but you know, shout out to Josh, shout out to the Grizzlies organization, man.
Yeah, so on that energy last night, you 3 were at the game. I obviously was not. I know they have the $25 club level ticket deals, which seems like the steal of the season if they do that every throwback night. I'm not sure if they do, but that's what they were saying. So how was the energy overall? Was the house packed? Zach, I know you and Sam sat together. So how was it from your perspective?
Yeah, it was high energy essentially the whole game. The game, because the Grizzlies would get ahead by a little bit. You know, they'd get up double digits. Then Portland would make a run, pull it back. But the fact that Grizzlies made timely plays, Ja came out blazing, 7 assists, 7 of his 9 assists in the first half. 5 of 6 of those were in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure. He just came out, made a Ariza look like he was on skates once. I mean, Tony Allen was on the front row, so obviously that got people hype.
Does that add as much energy to the building as it seems to through the TV? Because like they show him the one time, but like when he's just getting up in the middle of the game and like and like doing Tony Allen things, and then like you can see him coaching the guys on the floor. Does that permeate throughout the forum?
Yeah, you can tell that guys are interacting with him the whole game. You know, Ja did the binocular signal to him.
Goggles, dude.
The goggles, Zach.
They're binoculars.
Ja said they're binoculars,
Well,
but
yeah.
he said everyone started calling them goggles, so he'll roll with the goggles. But
Potato, tomato.
They're goggles now. They're goggles now. No,
I'm just going with what Ja said, the guy that created it.
No, but
that seems. You can't jump on me for that for being correct. Just because everyone else is wrong doesn't mean I have to be wrong.
But then he adopted it, right? So like he ratified it. So now it's the point is like this is important, man. This is a huge part of the Grizzlies this year.
Okay, well it can be the goggles next time, but it was the binoculars last night. It didn't become goggles until today, at least.
Yeah, the building was jumping though, man. The building was fucking jumping. I didn't know. One of the things that stood out to me was I didn't know there were so many Portland Trailblazer fans, or that they traveled, or a lot of Melo fans, if you will, but there was a lot of Portland in there just scattered throughout, just a little red here and there. And I mean, they were on hush because Melo was like 1 for 15. So that shit was terrible. But yeah, I mean, you got TA in there. My boy Moneybag Yo was courtside, even though he didn't show up till like the fourth quarter. And it was just like a good fucking vibe, man. Just good times, throwback nights. Fucking love the throwback nights.
Man, that Carmelo performance hurt me because I've been standing for him as he got older, and I knew Sam was in there just with every brick, just be like, this fucking guy sucks.
He had a boatload of rebounds. That's
he
about
was
it.
Awful last night.
Wait, did you say I was talking shit about him?
Yeah, you don't like Melo. And I said you were probably.
Wait a minute.
Hey, there's receipts on Twitter, man. You call him a loser.
Wow.
I don't know about that.
All right, well, we can continue the show, and I'll pull up the tweets.
Okay, a couple other guys.
Wait, you think he's not? You think he's a winner?
I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I think he's a starting player in the NBA.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
All right. Okay.
Just something to argue about.
All right. Okay. You know what? I hate wobbly tables. How do you feel about those?
Shout out to Larry David, man. Curb Your Enthusiasm just continues to be great.
It's the best. Yeah.
So
anyway,
Dylan Brooks, we got an extension on him. He's been not stellar on the offensive end, at least since we've completed that extension. I don't know. Me personally, I'm not that worried about it. I think that is going to pass and he'll get back on track. Especially like last night. I mean, his assignment was Dame to start the game, and he picked up 3 fouls really quick. So his total rhythm is thrown off when he's put in that situation. So I'm not going to hold that one against him. Plus, when you have Brandon Clark doing everything that he did, you know, Dylan, a lot of the offensive burden that he's been carrying for us in the wins that we have was able to be lifted. So I don't know. Is anyone concerned about Dylan, or just think that like he's cold for a few games, no big deal?
I would like to think that it is purely circumstantial that he has had these games since getting paid, but at the same time, it's Dylan Brooks, you know, and like he's kind of silly dude, and we know a lot about like what's going on in maybe his personal life as well, and so hey Harper said that she thinks that Dylan Brooks is going to continue to be bad until we take that money away. So that's just her. That's what she's saying.
I mean, I think with him and Jaren, they were both just shooting like astronomically, and that just could not hold up. And Dylan, last night, I think he hit his first 3 threes and continued to play solid defense. And I think he's not going to be a 20-point per game scorer throughout his career, and that's not what we need him to be. I mean, it's great if he is, don't get me wrong, but I think he'll be more in that 15-point range. And he just got hotter than a firecracker for like a month, and thankfully we were able to ride that wave.
Great timing for him.
And that's what role players do, you know? Like they get hot as hell.
I don't think he's gonna be a consistent thing. I think he got an early foul trouble and it clearly knocked him off. And I mean, he just needs to start taking the right shots like he was for that extended stretch where he was successful. It's no secret that's why he occasionally had, after he had it really going, he had his crazy where he'd go to the basket, like football carry the ball and then hit a crazy layup. But that was usually after he had 2 or 3 open shots to get in rhythm from a crazy John Moran assist. So I think that if he gets back to playing that kind of basketball, as opposed to just once he starts missing shots, then he tries to see one go down and starts playing Dylan ball. That's, good Dylan, bad Dylan, as we discussed early in the season. It's just been a lot of bad Dylan recently. But we've seen he's capable of doing the right things for a long stretch of time, which is why he got that money. So I'm not worried. I'm not actively worried about it.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about it either. My bad, Mason.
No, you're good.
I think there's more of a spotlight on it now because he got paid. Had we been winning like we have been and he has been shooting like he had been, I don't think it would have even been a topic. There was a tweet that went out last night, detailing the shooting numbers since he got paid. And because he got paid, that's the only reason we're chopping up about it right now.
Yeah, so along those same lines, Jaren Jackson has struggled after, he just went berserk too. Zach, how you feeling about Jaren offensively? Are you worried at all?
No.
Yeah.
I think it probably makes sense he'll come down a little bit from where he was, but I truly think that is the player that he is going to continue to be. And he got in foul trouble last night, so, he only had 6 shots in 33 minutes. He just wasn't getting the ball very much. Clark, honestly, was just taking so much. We had so many easy dishes to him that became the primary look for our offense instead of, shooting the threes. We only attempted 23 threes yesterday. And I'm not sure what our average is, but recently it's been a lot more than that in our victories.
Honestly, I've not seen the game where Ja and Jaren have had the synergy that Ja and Clark had last night yet. They had a couple games where they closed on pick and 3 or 4 straight pick and rolls, and that was cool to see that. But I definitely like what I saw from Ja and BC last night, as everyone did. Obviously, had a great game, but just the way that he rolls to the rim, they seem to have more natural chemistry than Ja and Jaren. And that just might be me basing my thoughts on last night, but that. Clark seems to be kind of more ready to run. He's definitely more athletic than Jaren. And every now and then, though, Jaren's the recipient of a backdoor dunk, and Ja gets in the ball where he wants. And obviously, he's shot a lot of threes, courtesy of John Morant collapsing the defense. But I don't know, something to think about. I haven't yet seen them consistently be the 1-2 guys that I desperately want them to be. It seems like there's a game here or there, but as they're 20, so that's the caveat on all of this.
Yeah, but at the same time, doesn't that kind of make you feel good that we've been successful, especially since Ja got back in the lineup and they haven't connected like we would like? Sometimes it's JV carrying the load, sometimes it's Dylan, sometimes it's Jaren, sometimes it's Ja, and that's what makes a good team.
Right.
From here on out, just being able to win in a variety of ways. And
the bench thing too, right?
you got bench mob.
That's why we're winning like we are, is that we have a bench that comes in and lights up every single opponent's bench, from 6 to 10. Our guys are could start on a lot of other teams, and they have a great other kind of second unit thing going. You remember when Calipari had that 2 platoon system that he installed or wanted to in Kentucky because he had all those guys. I think when the Harrisons were first in, and it was a corny ass Calipari college basketball thing, but it is legitimately a thing that the Grizzlies are deploying now when we're trying to limit the minutes of our starters. Our 2 stars to make them last longer, essentially. So we bring these guys in and they're playing up with these bench units. You got Caleb Swanigan, guarding Gorgie Dang now, and that's just laughable. And it's one of the things that's where we really take advantage of these teams. You see it every game. And I don't know why. Maybe that's going to be the new transition of the league. For a while, it was pace and space, layups and threes. I think getting good benches, deep teams, is going to be the new thing. I think, and that sounds obvious, but you look at the Nuggets, look at the Raptors. These teams that weren't expected maybe to be as good as they have been. They win because they have just guys that don't suck, which is Vernon's big thing. But there's credibility to it, right?
Yeah, and the Spurs historically. So
sure.
Speaking of the bench unit, let's all go around, and Rich, will start with you. Who is your favorite member of the bench mob?
My favorite member of the bench mob, man, D'Anthony Melton. I was talking to my homie at the game last night. I was just like, man, I want a Melton jersey. When I was growing up, the one Grizzly jersey that I had was a one James Posey, who was my favorite Grizzly growing up. Super random. I just fell in love with the way he played the game. He was just my favorite Grizzly at that point in time. And DeAnthony Melton is kind of in that same vein. Like, I don't know why he's my favorite, but I just really enjoy watching him play basketball. I think, like we spoke to already, the Bigs Mob just kind of has that synergy, that unity. Like they just come in and they make shit happen. As they like to say on the broadcast, they call DeAnthony Mr. Do Something. And you just see a player who, once he had the opportunity to crack the rotation, he didn't let that slip out of his hands again. And he's just positively been impacting it. I know he's got restricted free agency coming up this summer, but man, I just love watching DeAnthony play, the defense on the ball. He just makes shit happen. So for sure, DeAnthony.
Yeah, and he's got hands that are stickier than glue. And I mean, he is the reason for a lot of that energy with the second unit, just from the defense and tipped balls he brings. Zach, what about you? Who's your favorite member of the bench unit?
So going with Clark would be the easy answer, but I'm quickly, after 13 minutes of game time, developing an on-court crush for Gorgie Dang.
Gee.
Mr. Trebuchet.
Yeah, that's shot.
Mr. Trebuchet, I think is going to make – I mentioned this last week, but he is going to give us so much versatility on this roster. Before him, Jaren was having to play backup five, which, you know, he's going to play a lot of five. That's what they want him to do. That's cool. But if he's got to go up against, say, Dwight Howard or something, that's not going to work out. Or Anthony Davis. Those guys are too big for Jaren to handle. He's going to get in foul trouble. That's just, we've seen that the entire season, his entire career so far. What Dang does is he allows, you know, he flex, or what am I trying to say? Very capable defender. He'd come out to the perimeter. He's got
sounded like
arms.
a robot.
The
reason we're laughing is your microphone went nuts for a second, and you sounded like a scratch record. Yeah, you're good. That's why we just started. Yeah, it wasn't like a DJ, but it was like a little Daft Punk-ish.
I'm glad I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had several steals last night. He's got quick hands. He can just. He's huge. He's like really big, 6'10", 7'4" wingspan, and can impact shots. It just brings us that physically big man down low that we didn't have when we had to put Jaren down there, and also Brandon on Anthony Davis. That's not going to be any good. He can play against a lot of guys, but those that have just superior size on him, that's not a good matchup for him. He can beat most fours and contain most fours, but when he's got to slip to the five on now anyone for the Rockets, yeah, he could guard any 1 through 5 there, but for a team that has a big-bodied traditional center, that's too much for Brandon. So I think that Gorgie's going to allow us to have a lot more interesting lineups and provide a lot of good, solid minutes, especially when we see foul trouble from some of the starting bigs.
Zach, do you have a plus-minus for Brandon Clark and Gorgie sharing the floor at the same time by any chance?
Yeah, good question, Sam. Thank you.
Do you have that handy perhaps?
Yeah. They played Gorgie played 12 and a half minutes yesterday, and Clark played the entire time that Gorgie was in. So their net rating is positive 58. So they're in that 13 minutes. Yeah, defensive rating was like 85 and 140 offensive or something. So just a bizarre number. Obviously, it's 13 minutes. I want to see that more. I guess that's what I want to say. It doesn't mean everything, but it means that that's something that we should look at more.
But it was the eye test, too. You could tell that Brandon Clark was able to kind of roam around, didn't have to worry about anchoring the paint on defense, and could sort of wreak havoc, and you knew that Gorgie was going to be playing solid post-defense. So the eye test, definitely, I thought it looked good. I was like, they look great together, but then that plus-minus kind of verified it. It's always good when the two come together.
Who's your bench member?
No, you're next, man. We're going clockwise.
Oh, not you, Siri.
Yeah,
Siri,
bro.
what's your favorite bench unit?
I'm going
Brandon Clark.
I'm going DeAnthony Melton too, just because Brandon Clark is a cop out, but for all the reasons Rich mentioned, and it's just like he reminds us of Tony Allen. I think with his hands, Sam, you've mentioned this over text before. If he wants the ball and he gets a hand on it, it's his. So just love the energy that he brings and just how he took advantage of the opportunity, really. So to make it short, I'll go with DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah, I mean, D'Anthony Melton's the easiest answer. But we got to give some love to our
Josh
backup
Jackson,
point
then?
guard too.
Yeah,
Tyus.
I was hoping this is set up. Go ahead and tell the whole story, the backstory of you and Tyus's newfound relationship.
Yeah, so Tyus goes to the dog park downtown, and as do I. I take our dog Harper down there, and Tyus and his wife have a husky named Duke after his alma mater, and so Duke and Harper were kind of getting along, and I talked to him and his wife for a second. Great group of people. His wife is actually expecting right now. So congratulations to the Jones family. She's actually due. Yeah, Jones. Any Indiana Jones reference is always welcome for me. So his wife is actually expecting and due right around the time that the playoffs are set to begin. So she's secretly hoping that they don't make the playoffs, so she's not husbandless, or he's not required to leave the team during the playoffs and come back for the birth of his child. And essentially, she's just hoping she doesn't have to worry about it. So either Tyus Jr. comes early, or it's kind of a little bit of a family deal. But nice family. Obviously, we didn't talk much about basketball because I don't want to be that guy. But essentially, what I'm saying is that I'm best man in any future weddings he has, and that we're really close. So, with that being said, obviously, because we're such good friends, I have to pick him as my favorite. And he's, he always plays within himself. We saw him catch fire at what was it? What game was that? It was on the road. He hit like 8 threes, or he was like 8 of 8. Yeah, and he hit like 4 threes and just couldn't miss. And you don't expect that every night from him, obviously. But he does know that when he is the hot hand, he knows how to use it to our advantage. And so that was good. He has a lot of synergy with Brandon Clark. We've seen them really develop a good pick and roll combo. Almost never makes mistakes. And for that, I mean, that's all you can ask for out of a backup point guard. And so I'm really glad to have him on our team, and it seems to be just super well liked as well, and like another great personality to have. Like we got the loud, kind of ridiculous ones in John Jaron, and then the quieter like Brandon and Tyus, but everyone still really gets along. So I don't know, really you could say anyone coming off the bench, and you'd have a completely valid argument because they've all been fantastic and accepted their role and like take it and run with it.
Yep.
So Mason,
Did y'all feel me?
I feel you, man.
Yeah.
So unbasketball related, I saw a Instagram story, I believe, of you at Price is Right. I didn't know that. What's that about?
Yeah, so it was after the Monday after Thanksgiving. My sister-in-law is a huge Price is Right fan, and she had gotten us tickets to go because they were out here for the holidays. So we went to Price is Right early as hell, about 7 o'clock one Monday morning. And we had our shirts airbrushed and stuff. And you may have noticed in the Instagram story that my shirt was turned inside out. I had no say in the creation of my shirt. My wife thought it would be funny to have my shirt say 2 in the Plinko, 1 in the Stinko as we go on
Classic
national
you.
TV. Yeah. If you know me, not something I would put on the shirt ever. So anyways, it's going on the show is just a long process. You're like in these waiting lines, and supposedly the directors and stuff are like watching you the whole time. So my sister-in-law had researched what was required to like get selected to come on down. And so this whole time, like she is just hamming it up, and she's got a super bubbly personality anyway. So at 8 in the morning, like first cup of coffee, and she's just like in full grind mode. Just, I'm going to get on TV. There's probably cameras in the wall right here and all that stuff. Then they take you and they interview you. They ask you where you're from, what you do, your favorite Price is Right memory or game, stuff like that. Pretty cool, honestly. Then eventually you get to go into the studio. Our sister-in-law got called as one of the first 4 contestants to do the bidding. She won on the second bid, and she lost her game, but won her showcase, when you spin the wheel. Uh-huh. And then she made it to the showcase showdown, and she just beat the other lady. This other lady just completely blew it. She way overbid this package of vacations. And I mean, as soon as the other lady bid, I was like, oh shit, we won. Like, no way her bid is anywhere close. And then sister-in-law won a Nissan Sentra, I believe it was, a backyard patio with a nice grill, an iPhone. Prizes were worth quite a bit of money. So it was a fun trip. Got to see Drew Carey, shook his hand. I was sitting in the back seat of the vehicle that she had won. Rushed the stage with my shirt on inside out because, while I was in line, one of the like director's assistants is like walking through, and I can tell she's looking at people's shirts. And I'm like, oh shit. And she's like, can that group show me your shirts? And they're all like proud to show theirs because they don't have vagrant language written on their shirt. And so like, I stand up and have to show this woman my shirt that says 2 in the Plinko, 1 in the Stinko. And she's like, yeah, you're going to have to turn that inside out or buy a new shirt. And so like I have to walk all the way back to the restrooms. And it's like a walk of shame because it's everyone who's coming into the show with us, a couple hundred people. And they're like, why has he got to change his shirt? And there's like whispers like, look what it says. And it's like all old people. That's who watch The Price is Right. So it's like people, my grandparents. Yeah. I'm like, oh man. And then I come back with the shirt inside out. But they still set us right in the middle. So prime time for national TV, it was a big day for the family. So we had some watch parties back home. So I still haven't seen the episode yet, so I'm not really sure how it goes. But it was a fun experience. If you ever get a chance to go on a game show, you should, especially if you win a car.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think I know several.
So how do you feel that translates into Jaren's 3-point shooting?
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar because it's just a game of chance. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's
a game of percentages.
Sometimes he's not. So, But if you really study the numbers, then you can make a good bid and you'll be able to get on the show. Just good like you'll be able to declare if Jaren's going to have a good game or not beforehand.
Coming up next, Zach White's going to give us his next thing on his agenda.
I don't. You caught
me. I threw it to you, bro. I threw it to you. I'm out here doing good.
Did I set a fake pick and then roll to the hoop for you to throw me the alley like I'm Brandon Clark? Is that what just happened?
No, a fake pick is what the Tigers do when they come set picks.
I got a question.
Don't actually make.
Back to the feel of last night's game. How is the whole '90s feel going? Like when they're playing '90s music and stuff all night throughout the arena.
I feel like they didn't last night. Did I just like?
They do. They did.
It didn't. Yeah. It didn't. It wasn't as noticeable as some of the other ones. I don't know. That part wasn't.
Is anyone getting tired of the throwback stuff?
No.
I think it's great.
That court is awesome.
Yeah, and I think I've even been to every single one of them too. So it's not like the wrestling nights last year, for example, that eventually everyone was like, "All right, okay, we get it." But this is, I mean, everyone either grew up and heard those songs or like knows about them. They're obviously still popular. They don't play weird, obscure '90s songs. They play ones that we still recognize, and the team loves playing in those jerseys, and the court's badass. So I really can't see them getting tired of it. But
yeah, and the in-game entertainment's not like centered around one singular thing. It's always different. Like it's not like wrestling. It's totally
there's not a halftime
theme really.
Yeah, that's true. It's just like really the jerseys and the music, but usually the music kind of bangs and everyone's into it. So hopefully it doesn't get too tired though, because we certainly don't want that to happen again. Do you think it's something they do next year, or is this they're doing 25th anniversary and then we're never going to do those again?
Well, next year is the 20 year in Memphis, so they're going to wear the black Memphis jerseys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and they'll use the same court, so that'll be cool too.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Those are fresh too.
Yeah. And rumor has it that they're actually going to turn the top of FedEx Forum into a pyramid. So I'm just fucking with y'all.
Did you know they're working on it though?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No.
Oh shit, they are. They've resurfaced the top of it. It used to be. This is gonna be a humble brag. I can see the top of it from my office every day, and it used to be like horribly tarnished and like splotchy and fucked up, basically. Yeah. And now they've sanded all that off, and it's entirely white and clean right now. So it looks. Surely they're gonna paint something on there, or they keep it white. It looks way better. It looks clean. And so I think they resurfaced it or whatever that process is. So I thought you like had some inside track because they really have been working on it the whole season.
No. Yeah, I could
I don't
ask
know.
around.
Yeah, it might just be just redoing the roof, and it might just paint it black. I don't know, but yeah, I heard a giant like Grizz head that like talks, and breathes fire would be pretty sweet. That'd be pretty intimidating.
All right, so back to the court. How are we feeling about Josh Jackson? Rich,
how do you feel about Josh Jackson?
I mean, I think that silence was pretty telling. I think.
Okay.
All right, what you got, Rich? Coming up next, Rich is going to tell us about how he feels about Josh Jackson.
Yes, it is I. It is Rich. Yeah, I mean, I think he's still filling it out, man. I think last night there were some plays that I saw that might have gone over some other people's heads, but like he was making some like passes that were like, okay, dishing it to people, doing his thing. But I think he's still like filling things out, man. I can't imagine like what that pressure is like to kind of, been killing in the G League, and then now you've been waiting on this moment to be called up, and now you're really a part of the rotation. I don't foresee, how integral his role will be like moving forward. Like if he's an actual part of this quote unquote young core, I don't know yet. I think the jury is still out on that. But for the most part, he seems to be positively impacted, but I won't say that there's anything where I'm just like, damn, like Josh Jackson is the 3 of the future.
Yeah, I think what I'll say to what I said to Zach, I think last night was sorry, Rich. I don't know if you were going to keep going, but like eye test wise, he looks great and he runs up and down the floor and like seemingly helps when he's on the court. I haven't even looked at his like plus minus or any of that advanced stuff. When he goes to the rims, when he's most effective, he's a pretty good slasher and he finishes pretty well. And like he had a sweet up and under last night, and. Once he gets like when he like scores like Will Barton as like kind of that super lanky guy, like just weird finisher at the rim. I think he has some of that going for him. Once he gets 3 going, I think is when he can kind of unlock what he can be. We saw him shoot it well in the G League. He was terrible his first 3 seasons with the Suns, and that was always kind of the knock on him is he more of like a Kid Gilchrist or is he more of a shooting wing? And the answer is he's kind of neither. He never really was like Kid Gilchrist level. He could still get to the rim and score, but he looks good. And I like when he's out there, I'm never like, damn it, Josh is in. And I'd really like to know more about the plus minus. I just haven't looked into it. But he certainly is still finding his footing. And I would not have an issue with giving him a totally reasonable deal, which I imagine we could. Give him a totally reasonable deal, very cheap, get him for a couple of years, and then either he turns into something, or we trade him, or whatever. It's no harm, no foul. Like Guterich, for example, is kind of like a zero-sum deal. He didn't pan out. Like he clearly played in the Euro League, and he just can't shoot it in the NBA like he was there. And so, but now it's kind of just like, well, okay, cool. Like he just sits on the bench, and he's a positive guy, and no harm, no foul. What do you think, Mason? You love Josh coming out of the G League. You're his biggest supporter, at least of us, probably. So how do you feel how he's played so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what y'all said. He's been fine. Nothing spectacular. Obviously, he's great in transition, and he helps that second unit push the pace, and it just gives them another athlete out there to run the court, and he can handle the ball. We saw the pass he threw last night. The bounce pass from half court. And he had another one, too, a lob that Brandon wasn't ready for. That was a perfect pass. And so I think he's just getting used to playing with these teammates. The G League is a lot different than the NBA just from offensive style of play. It's a lot more street ball, and NBA is more field, knowing your teammates, I feel like. His defense was kind of what was worrying me, but I looked up his defensive rating, and it's been the best on the team since he's played. So I don't think I agree with that because he kind of seems to just run around on defense at times. It's like we put him on these shooters and he's having to chase them around all these screens, which makes sense because he's athletic and, he's got a lot of energy because he's only playing like 13, 14 minutes. But I wasn't really impressed with his defense, but the numbers seem to say that he's been a positive impact, and that whole bench unit, it goes back to that bench unit just wreaks havoc when they go in. So it's a perfect place for him to get that opportunity with that unit that was already playing at an elite level. It'd be really hard for one guy to come in there and fuck up that chemistry that they had. And he hasn't done that to his credit, which maybe some fans were weary of him coming in and thinking he was back to being the number 4 pick that he once was projected to be. But yeah, and the shot hasn't fallen, and his shot is flat as hell. Like, I don't know how he was shooting that well in the G League. That thing is like a straight dart going at the rim. So I'm excited to see him down the stretch, and he's been fine. Honestly, I've been a little underwhelmed from my expectations, but that also goes back to the earlier portion of the show when we talked about setting realistic expectations.
I think the one thing that he does bring is that he allows Jenkins to put him out there without being like a total negative. So Jenkins had 9 guys play in the first quarter. Jaren played a little bit with the second unit in the first quarter, and John and Jaren, I believe, played a little bit over 30 minutes for the entire game. No one else played over 30 minutes, but Portland had their entire starting lineup played over 30 minutes. And if you read that 538 article about Morant, he's doing all that, averaging under 30 minutes a game. And just the depth that's a positive side, is that you put him out there, he's not going to completely screw you over. He may not be making a ton of plays, but he's a solid guy, and he's one of those minute eaters.
He's better than Marco. That's the best thing he's got going.
He's better than Marco, and
he soaks up minutes.
That
was always something that Harrington said, was like he can soak up minutes, and I always like, that's such a basketball nuance. So once you watch as much NBA as we do, you realize how valuable it is to have a guy out there that can like just be out there and not do anything stupid, and not get hurt, and just like sometimes be effective. And that's like shit. I mean, you make your money in the league doing that, sticking around doing that.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So next question. Dame Lillard left the game last night with about 2 minutes left with a groin injury after going up for a layup, and then it came out that he is going to sit out the All-Star game and also the three-point contest. So we have a guy on our team that has been in a lot of people's mouths, not just Grizzlies fans, but kind of everywhere, as someone who could have been called as a replacement in Ja Morant, but Devin Booker was selected to his first All-Star game by the commissioner. And pointing at me.
That's a puzzle of a tiger I did.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
So how do we feel about Ja not getting into the All-Star game and Booker being selected? Especially after after Lillard said, I think Booker should be selected, basically.
Ja's name wasn't in the right mouth, and it was Adam Silver's, or Damian Lillard's too, who said that he'd have preferred Devin Booker to take the spot. But I mean, we shouldn't be surprised, because I think Devin Booker was the next highest vote getter with respect to all the media and the coach votes. So I think the commissioner just easily defaults to that, to not create any sort of controversy by seeming preferential to anyone. So, it really is like, it's annoying, but it is what it is. What's weird to me is that it seemed like, the reserves were picked based on winning this year more so than previously. We saw a lot of people get pissed off that Devin Booker was even left out to begin with. And then we saw in the East, we saw like a Kyle Lowry who gets in over Bradley Beal, who is, clearly like, his probably averages like 10 points less a game, but his team's winning, and he's kind of a leader on that team. So we've seen the coaches and the media prioritize winning, and Booker notoriously has never won. I saw a tweet today that said Ja has been over 500 the same amount of time that Devin Booker has in his career. Was that you, Mason? Yeah, or someone.
I don't think it was. I don't think it's actually true, because weren't they over 500 to start the year? Didn't they get hot for a little bit? And we haven't been over 500 that long.
Yeah, they were like 12-6 or something to start the year.
Were they? Yeah, you're probably right. It's that might very well be.
Aaron Baines was like playing All-Star level.
Yeah, but the point being like that's like something that you could conceivably believe, because he's played 4 or 5 seasons in the NBA and just like has never made the playoffs. And so there's something to be said about that, whereas Ja's stats are contributing to winning directly. He's clearly the team leader, much younger. So it really depends on what you prioritize, but I think the commissioner just took the easy way out. And there's this whole like got to pay your dues, young kid, young rook, and whatever. Like I've never subscribed to that in any facet of life, whether it be in the professional world or educationally speaking. Like you don't keep some brilliant kid, like in first grade if he's smart enough to be in third grade. We've never done that, so that it's just interesting that we like established this weird kind of you got to pay your dues thing to certain things in life and not others. But he's clearly a prodigy, and he'll be in plenty of games in the future. And I don't think it's worth getting that mad about. But it's sort of hypocritical based on the voting we saw in both conferences.
Rich, do you think that was fair or the right decision, or it should have been more thought put towards Morant?
I mean the same. Like, of course, I think Ja definitely has a valid case. He had a valid case, but I knew it was going to be Devin Booker. And I mean, also tied into that with selecting Booker, he was able to kill two birds, one stone, put him in an all-star game and put him in a three-point shootout. So he was able to just kind of alleviate having to search for another three-point shootout participant as well. Devin Booker, two birds, one stone. Lillard basically begged for him to be an all-star last night. So it is what it is. Ja be an all-star for many years to come. We know that. The national media knows that. And, he's impacting winning. And at the end of the day in the NBA, that's what matters.
I heard something that'd be cool would be having the injured guys pick the guy that replaces them. So I mean, obviously we saw Damian Lillard would have picked Booker. It sounds like, but I guess then there's a possibility they become a farce and Damian Lillard would pick like Malik Monk or something. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Some just random person. But you'd hope that given that they're all stars and kind of the faces of the league, they take it seriously and usually they end up naming someone anyway. Usually they get asked that question in the media right after they get hurt and they give a name, and it's usually someone conceivable. So the point being is that would kind of be like what your peers think about you. Like, do your peers think you belong in the game? Do the people that beat you out think you belong? Usually do. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go, Dame is no stranger to begging for all-star games. If you go back 5 years ago, there was a injury replacement, and it basically came down to Dame and Mike Conley, and Dame had penned this letter to the Players Tribune talking about how, he's been doubted all his life. He came from Weber State, and he's going to keep working, and he'll be there eventually. Just like this. Tony Allen called it like Mike ain't write a letter crying to the NBA when they named Dame. And Mike's numbers were better. We were a better team. So Dame is, no shock that he was going to say Devin Booker should get it, especially after Ja just kicked his ass and we beat the Trailblazers, and they're going to try to be playing catch up with us for the rest of the year. And Dame and Ja are going to be foes for the next, 10 years. That's someone coming for his head every time they play. So Devin Booker, y'all know my thoughts on him, man. That dude's such a loser. I watched him last night, and they were up 10. He gets a stupid technical for trying to be a hard ass, turns the ball over, and takes a bad shot, and it's a 4-point game. Luckily, the Suns still won, but he plays losing basketball. The only way he's going to win is if he becomes a sidekick to somebody.
It really fucking blows my mind because his stats are insane this year. They're efficient. He's scoring a lot. He's assisting a lot. He's rebounding a lot. It really doesn't. I mean, his defensive numbers, okay, fine. I mean, I don't think Ja's a great defender either. So yeah. I don't think that that's one way or the other. But I really don't know why they're so bad. I haven't really dived into it, and
because they traded DeAnthony Melton and Josh Jackson to us for Javon Carter.
Well, they had him, Yeah, I mean, their front office makes dumb moves, but DeAnthony Melton, they really could use a guy like DeAnthony Melton on that team.
I guess I will say, like I say about everyone else, and I was preaching this about Josh Jackson, is you can't judge someone off their performance in Phoenix. So to be fair to Devin Booker, I guess I'll scale back my thoughts a little bit, but Zach, that's your boy.
Yeah, I'm glad he made an all-star game. I sure would.
I
sure would like Devin Booker on my team. That's all.
Yeah, same. I would be really fantastic with us.
He'd be a great really sidekick.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I A
25 point per game sidekick is a perfect sidekick.
He ain't scoring 25 on a good team. He ain't never won nothing.
TA, baby.
All right, got a little Twitter corner. We're going to do rapid fire. So Justice Winslow's been on Twitter asking for suggestions from people on a few different items. I picked out 4 of them, and I'll go around. We'll just each do one. Rich, the best wings. Where should Justice Winslow go get his wings?
God damn.
Did you ask him just because he?
I'm just glad you didn't answer me the haircut question because Justice also asked.
Yeah, come on, man. You put me in.
I'm glad you didn't ask me the barber.
That is, you ain't right.
But,
Yeah, Rich, where do you go get lined up, bro?
But so
Let's see. Next item is
shit, man. As a honey gold connoisseur, as a lover of honey gold wings, that's tough, man. So first and foremost, there's so many overrated wing joints in Memphis. I'll say that.
like, do tell.
Controversial, I know. I think Ching's is overrated.
Okay.
But let's see. I really enjoy. There's a spot in the Haven, White Haven, where I grew up, called BJ's. Super low key, right by Graceland. Wings are bomb, fire. I'm telling you, BJ's. Literally a hole in the wall building like this big. You can only drive through. You can't walk in. I don't know what they're doing inside. You can't go in there. And then also, I don't know if you guys have tried the Wing Guru yet. Used to have one in the Forum. They have some out in like Bartlett and shit. They actually opened a new location in South Haven tomorrow. Jaron Jackson actually has an official wing there, so I'm sure he'll put Justice on. But yeah, I really enjoy their wings as well, man. But I just fucking love wings and fucking chicken. So Justice, hit me up, bro. Like, I got you. Just let me know.
The Wing Guru actually delivered what looked like a like 50 wings or so. Yeah. And wrote his name on top. So welcome to Memphis. So that was cool to see. And they've really figured out, how to get in with these guys. And the second you do something like that, then these guys are telling all their teammates that come to town need to go there, and then it snowballs from there. So that's a smart PR move.
Also, all media, spell that man's name right. His name is not spelled with a C. It's spelled with an S. Just spell the man's name. The name, it's in his Twitter bio. It's on social media. Spell the man's name.
It's not like it's Gorgie Jang, that you have to look at that a couple times, but like Justice isn't that hard to fix.
It's Justice with an S.
Just be respectful, You expect people to spell your name right. All right, well, what's next, Zach?
All right, Sam. So you get the haircut question.
Jay Matthews Band.
Where should he go get his haircut?
311 or buying like some cheap weed in Bartlett.
Because you're the only other person that gets their haircut in Memphis.
All right, so I go to my dude at Gould's downtown. This guy named Justin. He's actually mixed. He's half black, half white, and so I say that because he cuts both ethnicities' hair, which is a rarity. Like, you don't see guys that do that most of the time. So because of that, he takes elements from both. I feel like, and it kind of crosses them sometimes. Like, he does the straight razor for white dudes, which I love and think is fantastic. And he's kind of like been like he gives the best fade. Like, I get a fade. And he gives like the most fantastic bald fade that I've ever had, and so I highly recommend Justin downtown. And he's cut Jaron's hair before. He's cut quite a few of the Grizzlies, so I do recommend him. That's where I go, and that's where I'd recommend anyone to go, regardless of their ethnicity. Shout out, Justin.
That was a good plug right there. Good answer.
I'll tell him about this.
Mason, where should Justice go get some post-game eats? Quick comment. I'll give you a second to think about that. So I'm in line going into the Forum, and this lady behind me is just talking to someone saying that she's neighbors with Jonas and his wife, and his wife complains all the time that Memphis doesn't have anywhere. Everything closes so early, so there's nowhere to go eat after the game. So you need to tell them where they can go eat after the game.
Well, being as I don't live in Memphis, no.
But you did.
I think I would go. Bar Dog is always great, but my go-to is Huey's. Kitchen stays open late, and it's just always consistently good. It might not blow you away, but it's going to be a good solid meal. They give you good portions, some nice fries, to put you right to sleep. Put the slaw demon on your shoulder. So my go-to is Huey's. Get a cheese and sausage plate.
What's the slaw demon? I have no idea what that is.
Oh, the slaw demon?
Yeah.
That's when you eat a bunch of food. Like usually when you eat during the day, and then you just don't feel like doing shit. So the slaw demon creep up on you. He just,
What does it mean though? I realize like contextually what's a
because
slaw demon?
it means you about to be slaw. You about to be,
Oh, okay.
just be laid out on the couch.
All right.
You come back to work, and you really got to fight to keep the slaw demon from taking over, or else you're just gonna be completely useless at work.
Yeah.
And if you go to a not Blue City, what's the one on the corner that they go to?
Kings?
Is it BB King's? What they go to in the Bluff City Law?
Oh yeah, that's Blue City Cafe.
That's
That's where Steph Curry was eating.
No, not
When he
Blue
was-
City.
Rum Boogie.
Rum Boogie. Yeah, if you go to Rum Boogie Turkey Tuesdays, man, you can get like a Thanksgiving meal for about $10, man. All the sides and fixings you want, man. You try to go back to work after Turkey Tuesday, the slaw demon, who's also known as Franklin, he gonna creep up on you.
So,
Okay, all right.
so this slaw demon must be a Mason invention because it's not even on Urban Dictionary or anything.
It's actually shout out to my boy Tim Jordan. I learned about the slaw demon from Tim Jordan. So
All right. Well, okay. So I was the reason I couldn't understand it was I was wondering if it literally had to do with slaw, like
Coleslaw.
the food item
Right.
slaw. So I was like, wait, is this like a specific thing to coleslaw or what? Okay, got you.
Memphis
If you're being
slang
slaw, I get that. Yeah,
Memphis
I get
slang
that.
slaw. So
Okay.
that gets really confusing in California when I'm like, man, that's slaw. And they're like, what?
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's just, we know what it means.
There ain't no coleslaw on here.
All right, and the final question, he was looking for apartments. He found one. I don't think he announced where it was, but I would suggest living downtown. If you're you're a single guy, you can afford the nicest apartment down there. It's bumping down there now. That's where you should live.
And walk to work, man. Walk to the forum, walk to the practice facility. Minimize your commute. A lot of the Grizzlies live downtown. A lot of them live on South Main. I know Tyus and D'Anthony Melton both live in the same new apartments across from the Old Tennessee Brewery. So, I imagine they probably got set up through his teammates, is what I would hope.
Yeah, so that's a simple recommendation. That one's easy.
He's also pissed, man. He was getting a lot of hate from Heat fans who are now calling him out for tweeting a bunch. Basically being like this one guy said, like, dude, you sure have been tweeting a lot since you've been traded. Like, I think trying to imply that he's trying to be the hot girl that gets broken up with and then posts a bunch of Instagrams, like out having a good time to try to make her ex-boyfriend jealous. I think that was the metaphor drawn here by the Twitter peons, but I think he's literally just trying to endear himself to the new fan base. And obviously they're all pro-Memphis tweets, so I love them. But, I mean, just let the dude, like, be part of the new community. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about Twitter. It's the troll thing. And obviously, like, Justice is not above. I mean, if you get in his mentions enough, like, apparently he's a human being, right? Like, he can get bugged by it. But that sucks to see, right? And I think Memphis kind of endured themselves even more by being like, "Hey, man, don't care." In fact, that actually makes us love you more when you show love to us. Like, if you like love Memphis, then we'll love you nothing more than that. Just to not treat the city like it's the worst city in the world.
Yeah, and Memphians love giving recommendations. So.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. Considering we just spent 10 minutes doing that, so.
Right.
All right, you guys got anything else?
No, man, let's coast into the All-Star break. And when's our next game? Who and when?
At Sacramento, I think.
At Sacramento?
Yeah.
Like, what, Wednesday? Probably after the All-Star break?
I want to say the 20th.
Yeah, Thursday at Kings, at Lakers. Friday at Clippers, Monday the 24th, at Houston, February 26th. So the next game for the Grizzlies inside the friendly confines of the FedEx Forum will be February 28th against the Kings, and followed by leap day game against the Lakers.
Ooh.
So we have Lakers on 2 back-to-backs, the second of 2 back-to-backs. That's tough.
Yeah. Within a week span, pretty much.
Damn, that's scheduling. Fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been talking about how our strength of schedule is the hardest from here on out. Are y'all worried about that at all? The Pelicans lost tonight, so we gained another half game on them, or they lost a half game on us, rather. Zion
Did they win?
have
Did they win
32.
tonight? They played
No,
OKC tonight.
they lost.
Lost.
They lost.
Oh, I thought you said last night. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, to quote the old adage, it's like we just kind of find out what this team is, and we. One thing that Zach and I talked about last night, and one thing that one of us mentioned was that you kind of hope that perhaps these teams start resting guys against teams like the Grizzlies in the second half of the season. Teams like the Lakers maybe, who are kind of solidified in that number one spot, might start resting guys, especially on the second night of back-to-backs. I mean, well, they might not be on a back-to-back, but maybe we catch like the Clippers resting one of their guys, or whereas early in the season, these teams are trying to kind of like build their positioning and establish where they're going to be in the final ranking. So maybe that's a positive outlook here. But yeah, I mean, we'll quickly see whether this team, who they are. And I mean, you can't do anything about it. Just got to keep playing basketball. But if we play 500 ball from here on out, which is 14-14, I don't think that's totally outrageous to play 500 ball, considering we just went 20-7 or something, like ever since Ja's been back, or some ridiculous number. If we just play 500 ball from now on, that puts us at 42 wins, and
wow,
assuredly a playoff bid, right? So yeah, that's one way to look at it. Just keep 500, protect home court. Beat the bad team. You got to beat the Kings. You got to have this 2 games versus the Kings. You got to take care of your business, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think they said only 5 games are against teams that aren't currently in the playoffs or in the hunt for the playoffs. So, going to be interesting. But, I mean, I'd rather play the good teams now that we're also good than in the early part of the season and just be in a hole that we can't dig ourselves out of. So, that's one positive way to look at it.
We were, I think that game, the game before Ja was going to come back, we lost to the Bucks. I heard this on Verno today. And at that point, we were 8-18. And then Ja came back, and here we are today. So that, like, whatever that win-loss is, that's what we've done. So that was that. What is that, like 20-8? Yeah, it's 20-8. So that's what we've done. We just have to keep playing basketball like that. And I really think it's totally reasonable to go 500 over the next 28 games, especially knowing what we have to do. Knowing that we're making this push, assuming we stay healthy, of course. But so far the Slaw Demon hadn't gotten our ass.
Way to tie it all in.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, set up some payoffs, baby. I'm out here creating stories. All right, Zach, time to wrap it up. Wrap up the show.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the Backdoor Cut Show. If you like what you hear or don't like what you hear, think we're a bunch of goofballs, let us know on iTunes. Give us a review there. Check us out, the-barnburner.com for this show, more like it. It's getting late. And until next time, we'll talk to you after the All-Star break, and we'll be lock, step, and key with the Grizzlies as they complete this playoff push. Until then, see you later. Go Grizz.
Rising Stars game Friday. Tune in.